being able to be a part of that, I didn't realize how important it was to people until I was like, wait a second, you're right, there wasn't really a character quite like that before. And I think that's part of why it's still sustained, maybe, all these years later, is this, that movie kind of helped bring goth and all that to the forefront. So, we were as surprised as anyone.
It's awesome. Well, what I found set the craft apart is that it was a bunch of girls who were very angry and they felt very disempowered, but they found their own sort of power, even though it was a bit chaotic. I thought it was really beautiful to see them kind of grow into their own the more they found out about the magic. That's why it really kind of stuck with me.
True, and I also think in the end, when you look at it from a psychology point of view, it's really an analogy for female sexuality, burgeoning female sexuality. I mean, they're teenagers, they're coming into their own, and people are quite threatened by women when we start to come into our power. So, I mean, on a deeper level, and on a very dysphoral level, yeah, it's kind of crazy how when they get together with the four. One of the things I liked about the craft, though, because a lot of black girls come up to me and go, oh, the devil. And I was like, listen, I don't F with the devil, so not a problem for me. I keep my vibe real light and high. That's what I try to do. But in the end of that movie, I loved that the whole idea with it was, not the whole idea, but part of the idea was whatever you put out comes back times 3. So I think that's really true in life. If you put out great energy, then you don't always, I'm not going to Oprah secret you, but I'm saying if you put out good energy, you're probably going to get better things back. And that's still true. I mean, I've said that to people recently. I've also told someone not to F with me or I'd make their hair fall out, so
Oh my gosh, I love that. And
I think you must have a sense of humor wherever you go.
I totally agree. And I think in the age of reboots, a lot of people have also been talking about the craft, even though I personally would never touch it because I think you guys did phenomenal. Do you, if it were to be rebooted, do you see yourself being involved in the project?
Well, they're definitely rebooting it right now. I'm not sure if you've heard.
Oh, I haven't.
Yeah, Sony's doing it with Red Wagon, which was the original producers. I can't really say anything other than that, but I hope it's good. You know what I mean? If you're going to do a remake. And they're saying it's not a remake, it's more a continuation. It's a whole different group of girls. It's not the same group of girls going through the same, it's a whole different, so we'll see. I can't really say anything about it because you read between the lines. I mean, but I hope it's great. So read all the lines, and I hope it's really good. That's what I'll say, but who knows? It's a little weird to have a movie you're in, have a remake, but it's also really flattering. It's like something about the movie must have sustained for people to want a remake. It's interesting now because in the 90s, I did much more film. I did half and half in the 2000s, but there was a real separation between film and television back then. It's not like now where all the prestige stuff is on television. It was very much not on television back then. It was very much in the movies. And now, I'm not saying it's reversed, but most of the big movies now are tentpole superhero stuff, which is super fun. But there's not that much wiggle room for other movies, to come in and out. So things have very much changed, and honestly, I'd love to see, and I'm not even talking about me in it, but a series with them, those kind of characters and developing that over time. I mean, the young, group of girls, because sometimes it's hard to fit all that stuff, all that angst, all that agita into 90 minutes. Because one thing the director said in an interview that I thought was really good, back then, he was like, well, I like working with these teenage girls because teenage girls are really vocal. He's like, you could do a movie with teenage boys, but it'd just be a bunch of grunts, So I was like, oh, I get his point. Girls, when they're coming in at that age, are very much connected to each other and relying on each other. And, I think that there's something about the grand myth, again, of women coming into their power. I think that's probably why witchcraft and paganism and all those things are becoming are popular right now, because it's women trying to, find a seat of power. I think in the end, when we look at witches, The Craft is a silly Hollywood movie, but I love the idea that women, all through history, anyone who had power or knowledge or knew herbs was a witch, frankly, in history, and that's insane. It's like anytime a woman had more knowledge knowledge than a man, she was to be condemned.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's interesting that you mentioned like witchcraft and different practices. I know you have your own spiritual practice. You mentioned tarot earlier. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Well, it kind of, like I said, at around 8, well, around 5 or 6, I was really into the books that I'd find in my parents' library. By library, I mean a bookcase that I call the library. I pulled out these books, and then so when I saw a tarot deck, I was like, oh, those are the same symbols. And honestly, I don't think this is the crowd I have to worry about with this, but for anyone who's like, oh, but what if it's evil? I'm like, it's first of all, it's a paper card made by a toy company. So it's not evil. And the images on the deck, which I started reading cards for myself, playing with them at 8, they're really biblical images, you know, on the tower, that's the Tower of Babel. The Temperance is an angel card, so very much in alignment with Bible and Christ consciousness. And I have a book coming out with, it'll be out next year because publishing takes 60 kabillion years. It's a book, it's a tarot book and deck set that I'm designing with a young Canadian mixed girl artist, and it's also part memoir. In the tarot, there's 22 major cards, so I'm writing a personal memoir essay for the 0 through 21 on there. It's been a huge project. I'm writing it myself, and it's really hard. Also, I'm so sick of myself at this point. You have to sit and write a memoir. You're just like, I'm so tired of me. But I love the idea of bringing this book out because it's been a passion of mine my whole life. And I think I look at it this way. Tarot for me is sort of like, it's my catchphrase, it's like a shrink in a box. It's a way to literally, if it's 2 a.m. and you're freaking out, instead of calling your friends up or, you know, you can do a spread and help, you know, it's sort of like therapy for yourself. There's, like I said, I don't want to see anything untoward in it. I see it as connecting with the knowledge that's within inside you. And I had a long discussion with a very religious friend, and you know, she was like, well, God is everywhere, God is inside you. And I was like, sure. And this is just a way to get in touch, to clear out some of the clutter, you know, that's going on in anxiety in the brain, and get in touch with your higher self, your higher vibration, God, whatever you want to call it. So I like the idea of writing this. Also, I was at an age in Hollywood where they were like, we don't know what to do with you. You know, I was going in on grandma roles and stuff like that, which I could definitely play, but I was like, I don't know if I want to be a full-on grandma on the couch yet. So I was like, I'm just going to write this book. And, you know, and I was lucky enough to do a couple episodes of Better Things this year, which is a really good TV show. So I'm being really just picky with work, but super focusing, like I said, on the tarot. And I think hopefully people will be able to receive the book in the spirit I've written it. You know, and then again, like I said, I talk about my 90s experiences with work and movies and the 2000s as well, because I started doing more TV in the 2000s. So people were like, it didn't work. I was like, no, I actually started working a lot on television. But I do like that I did film back in the 90s. There were not many black people in feature films, you know, in that part of Hollywood. So I feel kind of lucky that I stumbled and worked hard, but stumbled into that.
Absolutely. And you know, one thing that personally kind of frustrates me is how when people do think of like the films you've done, or especially the craft, they've tended to like overlook you. Especially when it comes to like remembering the cast or even like invites the cons. I know personally it's like, you know, Rochelle was like a great character, like why wouldn't you like, you know, focus on her? Like,
well, I think what I said is I don't want anyone, nobody needs to focus on that one character, but I do know when you single her out and leave her out, well that's you reverse focusing on it, isn't it? Them focusing on it. And it has been a little frustrating because, let's not even talk about the conventions, but when they announced the remake, they had a picture of the 4 girls in the craft, me front and center, and then they listed everyone but me and went down and listed people who weren't even the main characters, white characters, and that's when I went on a second Twitter rant and just said, listen, if you're going to put a picture of me front and center, you should mention me. And I do not expect a reporter to know my name. I expect a reporter to do their research, though, especially if you're going to put a picture of me up. And I know for certain, like maybe some of my white peers, they were like, what are you making a big fuss about? And oops, did that come out like that? I'm sorry, I didn't mean like, I'm mixed, is that okay? I can say it no. So they were saying it like that, and I said, no, here's my point, is that when I was a child and I would look at textbooks, let's say, and there was a picture or painting from history, you know, it would be servant, or slave, or something like that, or a statue, a dancing girl. Now that dancing girl had a name at one point, and she was a goddess, or she was a woman, or she was somebody. So I said, oh, this is how it happens.
Yeah.
You start not saying the people's name, and by the end, by next year, it's just, the black girl from the craft. We don't even have to mention her name, right? Or we don't mention her at all. So I thought, no, I'm gonna speak up for this stuff, and not just so much for me, but yes, for me, but for everybody too. Hopefully it's other people in my business who will benefit from me speaking up this way on Twitter, because another person I know said, well, you know, you're causing yourself work, you know, by mentioning the conventions and things. And I certainly wasn't trying to shame anyone or call anyone out, but after I was excluded, it was so overt, you know. I don't think I need to explain it. It was very overt. I just said, I'm not hurting myself. I wasn't included anyway. I can't miss out on shit I wasn't invited to. And they still don't understand, some of my friends, but it's not really their thing, you know? It's not really their issue or their problem, and I also think they do not understand, some of my white peers don't understand as much how important Rochelle was to not, you know, in pop culture, how important Rochelle was for a certain set of brown women who had never seen themselves and gave, what do I call her, you know, manic pixie black girl magic. You know, those are the characters I played in the 90s. So every girl I see, white girl gets to be called something, and I was like, hey, I have a little genre there, and I will not be erased. That's my feeling on that.
It's so well said, because, you know, like you said, we're so multifaceted that it's really important to just talk about these types of things and just kind of like make it easier for people in the future. So like,
yeah, I mean, in a way, it probably has hindered me, myself personally. But this, you know, the last year or so. But in the end, I think it will, hopefully, like I said, open up the doors for other people, because there's something lovely about being in this convention. It's so inclusive. There's all different kinds of people, right? And usually at other bigger conventions, I've done some really great ones. A few have been, you know, extended invitations. By the way, I'll put up a fuss, because if you're going to have the other 3 girls and not invite me, that seems specific. If you're gonna have 1 girl, I wouldn't say anything. Even 2 girls, I haven't said anything. But it's a lot, I can't get in on 2 girls. But if you're gonna have all 3, and you're not gonna include me, then I feel like I'm in 5th grade again, and you're the principal who said there's no way you could have done 100 jumps, so no, you don't win first prize. I'm gonna give it to this girl over here, because even though I wasn't counting your jumps, Rachel, or whatever the situation was, right? We all have a million situations where things were a little unfair. You know, and they just happened to F with a girl who got the highest SAT scores in her school, and the white school was not happy about it. And so I had to stand up for myself with that shit. So I've done nothing but stand up for myself, as have all of you, for most of your lives. So I just think it's a thread in who we are, right, as a people.
absolutely. I'd like at this moment to open it up to any audience questions. If you could line up in front of the mic. If any of you would like to ask Rachel something personally.
Could you imagine me if I actually had coffee in me right now? This is me on no sleep and no coffee.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a quick question about how did you feel about being a part of Horror Noir, the documentary, and did anything reveal to you within the documentary about some of the history to find out that somebody directed a horror movie back in the 40s that was a black director?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for bringing up horror noir, which I like when I'm not tired. I can say horror noir. That's my horror noir, or it's horror noir if you're from New York, like me. If you guys don't know about it, it's a documentary on Shudder.com, which is owned by AMC, which I don't know why they haven't put it on AMC like they did Eli Roth's White Horror version, but hopefully this horror noir will end up on AMC at some point. But it's such a good question, because I loved being a part of this documentary. I learned so much. First of all, I'm not shocked there were black directors in the 40s, right? That's not shocking to me. It's not shocking to me that their movies didn't get out, right? But I didn't know about Ganja and House. I didn't know about so many movies. And by the way, everyone here is like a horror fan, but my friends who are not, I was like, listen, watch this movie. It's based on a book by Robin Weems Coleman, who is a college professor, so it's got a bit of a scholarly take on horror, and it opens with Birth of a Nation. So we're not talking about a slasher, It's a dissertation on the parallel between black people and how we're portrayed on camera, and horror and the reflection that it has for our black experience. So I was thrilled to be a part of it, and also I just didn't know if it was going to be good or not, right? I was like, I'm showing up, I'm doing my interview, whatever. So when I was at the premiere and saw the whole documentary together, I was like, this shit is good. This is really, like, I read it. It's actually very, my 80-year-old, well, I shouldn't have said her name. I mean, my stepmother, who is not a horror fan at all, really enjoyed it. So again, I think it's really good for everyone, and I think it's educational, isn't it? Because you start to realize how we've always had our own film and cinema and all those things. And if you know about film, you always knew that there were separate black movies over here in the heyday of Hollywood back in the day. But there are these other smaller things that we didn't know about, and it was beautiful to see. Even something as, how many of you have seen Blackula? Oh my God, yes. Right? So even something as silly as, I've seen Blackula, not for a long time, but there's a line in it where, it might have been in Blackula 1 or 2, I don't know. But Blackula turns his friend, and his friend's looking in the mirror, and he can't see it, and he goes, what is a man if he cannot see his own reflection? So is that not a line about our black experience? I mean, that is literally him saying, we don't get to see our own reflection in film. So a lot has changed, by the way. Obviously, in the last 10 years, there's been a resurgence in Hollywood for black people. Things have changed. We have so many great black producers now. So it's really, for me, as when we started in the 90s, where I was told, you just take this job and be lucky. We have another black girl on the line, or we're going to have a black girl. It was like, take it or leave it. So it's really beautiful to see people taking their own and not just taking the scraps anymore. So thanks for asking about that. I like your shirt. She's wearing a craft shirt.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
I was wondering if you watched The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and if you do, how do you feel about the characters Prudence and even Ambrose in retrospect to your character from The Craft? Do you feel like you influenced them?
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, that myth that graphic novel has been around, so I don't know if we influence them at all, to be honest. Like, I'm not that vainglorious that I think it's all about good. Not at all. I do think it's really good, though. I really was entertained by it, you know, and Prudence was fabulous. I mean, she just plays. First of all, she's like a supermodel, which I was like a cute girl. She's all supermodel, beautiful, the hair, the everything, and I love that they have power. I also love, I'm not giving away any secrets, but if you haven't seen it, close your ears, but I love that she's the daughter of so-and-so, and all these layers, just like there is in real life. So I also love the fluid, I don't know if he's fluid or if he's just gay or what, but like, I love that character in there as well. I mean, honestly, it's an interesting thing in Hollywood, right? Because there's a certain sect of Hollywood that's like, you know, there's not enough black people in everything. And sometimes I've got to remind us that we still are only 15% of the country, right? Like, I'm all for us in everything. But what I'm saying is sometimes I'm like, yes, but, you know, okay. So there's other groups, too, that have to be included in there. But the fact that they have us in Sabrina is amazing. You know, I'd love to see more diversity. Like, frankly, to me, the most, like, if someone told me they were going to do an all-Asian remake of The Craft, I'd be like, now that's interesting. To be honest, you know, or oh my God, I got in a Twitter fight this year, accidental Twitter fight, with, I don't think anyone reads my tweets until I tweet, but with one of the girls from Charm, because she was not happy with the Charm spinoff, right? And I was like, let it go. I mean, I was like, what? It's a bunch of brujas. That's amazing. It's like the Spanish girls, which is a part of their, not all Spanish girls, but part of the culture. It's amazing that they're on there. Let's just celebrate that. Well, that is not what the director originally, I don't give a shit. It was 20 years ago. Who cares? You're not in it. Not to be an asshole, but like, you don't see me on Twitter going, well, I can't believe they're going to do a Earth remake. I'm like, I hope it's fucking great. That's what I hope, you know, I hope it's diverse and I hope it's great. Because it's a project I did a long time ago, I don't have ownership over it, you know, so whatever they do, I hope they do it well. That's what I think, and Sabrina is done so well. That's what I think, you know. I'd love to see actually, like, I'd love to see a show focused on adults living in that world too, to be honest, because sometimes I'm like, I'm a grown-up now, I don't really care what happened in 8th grade. I do, but I tell you know, like now that I'm like, wait, it'd be nice see some, what are the grown-up witches? And they do have that in there, but I'd almost love to see a whole show of grown-ups. Thank you for your question. Hello.
Hi.
Oh my God, we're, like, by the way, I'm probably your height. They don't even
Even 5 foot.
Okay, I'm slightly taller. Not much. I'm only 5'2", but like you're 5'3". They don't even make people our height anymore in real life.
Pants are hard. Okay, hi, my name is also Rachel, just putting that out there.
Hola.
So what would you have to say to young black women or femmes who are just getting into occult practices, or like, I shouldn't even say cult, but alternative culture?
Yeah, I was gonna say, because again, like a cult is not actually my lane, even though I am spiritual, right, in my tarot practice. Or, let me put it this way, I might have some little witchy habits, but I don't like labels, right? So I just don't like to be, because I don't follow any one thing, but I do believe in energy. Right? I can read your energy from here, that's the truth. I believe in earth, air, fire, water, because those are the basic things of life. But I would say, you want to be really careful. First of all, back in my day, I just had to read a lot of books. You know, there wasn't the internet, there wasn't YouTube readers, or there wasn't all these people that you go to. I'd say be super, vet the people you are studying under. Vet the people. If you're going to go join a group, maybe vet them, right? And by that, I just make sure they're in alignment with who you are, because there are people who, you know, energy is an energy thing, right? Even if you don't believe in occult stuff, you can feel some. When you walk into a party and it's a weird vibe, oh, it's weird. That's energy. That's all I'm talking about. So I just say you have to be really discerning, right? The same way you would be discerning about which church you would go worship at, you would be discerning about which books you read and who you practice with. And like I said, my whole thing is keeping it light, right? Like keeping all the energy good. Like even with tarot, I don't do reversals. I say high and low vibe, right? Because every card has a good side and every card actually has a heavy side. So again, it's what are you trying to get out of it? That's what I would say. Are you doing it because it's cool and trendy? Probably not. You're doing it because what? What is your intention with that? And mine, you know, in my life is to, how can I let go of some of the habits and things that are holding me back, right? So I personally use my practice for self-help, I guess, you know? I look at it to what is it I need to work on? Because I feel like, it's not really what you asked, but I feel like a lot of us, all of us, right? We can live in a victim space sometimes, right? Like, it's so unfair that so-and-so, or it's so unfair that that asshole guy, or that whatever. And in the end, I've realized what my spiritual practice and tarot practice helps with is it takes, I don't really go, you're the I go, oh, you're fine, you don't have a problem. I'm the one who has a problem, right? With my expectations of you. You know, all of those questions and things are things I ask myself so that I can be responsible, because the more responsible I am for myself, the higher my vibration is, and then that reaches other people, and hopefully that'll lift the vibration of the planet. But I'd say, like I said, you gotta be real careful. If you're gonna get into, like Santeria, right? You wanna be real careful about who. Like maybe you want the hardcore stuff, right? Then you've gotta decide for yourself. So again, what advice would I give? Just keep it in the light. Keep it high vibe. That's what I'd say.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Hi.
Hello. I actually wanted to ask, as an actress, when you got started, did you start because you wanted to see yourself specifically on screen, or did you start because you wanted to see people like you on screen, like other black men and other black people?
Listen, let's be honest. Everyone starts with themselves, right? Like, are we all so grand that it's like, oh, I'm going to help all black people? That is what we hope for, right? But if I'm going to be honest, no, it's like a young girl who's like, I want to be an actor. Now, part of that, it was super important to me to show different sides of who we are, right? And that's, again, one thing I love about being here is no one's going to tell me I talk funny, right? So because I grew up the way I did, and with my speech pattern and did it as an actor, we play all characters, right? It doesn't matter what accent, what class, whatever. But for me, I thought, as I said earlier, it was important to me, where are the nerds? Where are the middle class or lower class? It doesn't matter what class, but where are the people who are not quite even if I had grown up in the toughest of circumstances, I'm too much of a wimp to join a gang, right? That's not, I'm too much of a pacifist wimp. Maybe I wouldn't be in a certain circumstance, but that's where I am. So for me, I thought, how can I take my experience, which is different than yours and yours and yours, and show that on camera? So I think I got very fortunate in the 90s, or I was aggressive, I will say, about saying to my agents, why don't you get me in on this? I know it's not written black, but why don't you get me in on it? So I knew for myself that one of the ways I could help show different sides of a black experience was to say, you know, if you keep trying to put this square peg in this round hole, I might not book them. But if you look at, I'm sweating like a toy. But if you look outside of that and don't just determine it just by race. So in a sense, I was working for myself, right? But I knew after a while there is something about me being in these certain projects that is going to hopefully, for someone else coming up, watching this, go, oh, I speak like that, or I like books, so I read a book a day too, or whatever it is that is outside the norm of what our experience is supposed to be, because in the end, a lot of what we were told our experience was supposed to be is we were told that by people, right? It wasn't even our experience. We were told this is our experience, and this is what we are like, and we show up late and we're late, or all these things that are put on us. But one thing I always knew, hold on till I find there's gotta be something I can fan myself. Oh my God. One thing I knew was just to be a black person working in any capacity in Hollywood, to be 100% honest, I already knew that would help all of us, you know. And I was actually really firm about, when I first hit town, somebody had said, you know, if you get a Holly Berry nose job, you'd be beautiful instead of quirky cute. And I was like, I'm okay. Or if you straighten your hair, which I was, you know, really asked to do a million times. And I just thought, no, I don't want to. I want to show people that this is our natural hair. So I've kind of stuck with my natural, even now. I'm going to whine to everyone who comes to my table. Half of my hair just broke off. Oh, you know, but that's all. My pain about that is just ego. It'll grow back, you know. It's not that big a deal. But someone was like, why don't you get a weave? Why don't you get a protective style? And I was like, it's fine, it's fine. Like, I'm just kind of that girl who's like, this is my experience. It broke off. This is what the fuck it looks like, broken off. Everybody's had this happen. So here it is. That's just how I roll. I'm a natural chick. I don't have a judgment, though, if someone else decided to get a weave, you know, to fix their broken hair. I just feel like, well, let me just show the experience, you know, and I don't do anything to my face. I eat really healthy, and that is how I take care of myself. And I actually said to someone in Hollywood who was talking about skincare, I was like, you know what? Do I get to talk about like hair care for the next 2 hours? Because that's how little I am interested in the skincare talk, lady. I don't care. But I take care of myself, and I made choices, you know, that I think a lot of us, I talk very much on social media about, you know, as black people, we love to say black don't crack, right? And I think that's really true, except, you know, we're cracking from the inside, right? I said to a bunch of people, like, if that was true, then your uncle wouldn't have the sugar sickness, okay? You know, so I'm very, what? I'm serious? It's true, because I'm very big on, like, healthy living and how we as black people can, you know, nobody's gonna do it for us, right? So we can rely on black don't crack and excuse ourselves from X, Y, and Z. But my thing is, what can we do? And look at you. You just walking down the street the way you are, you're showing people, right? Because that's what you're presenting, right? And I'm presenting with my curly hair as something X, Y, Z. So, I don't know. I'm interested to see where I'm gonna go with it all. You know what I mean? Like, this is who I am today. I feel very much like I always have. But as I get older, I'm like, oh, I wonder what kind of old lady I'll be, you know? I don't know. Probably just like this, except maybe less swearing. I don't know. But I think, just to round back to your question, I'm not so grandiose to think I'm doing this for all black people. I am hoping that the work I've done in Half and Half, let's say in a silly sitcom, I love that was a weird alternative, right? Who was a little different and clumsy and awkward and da-da-da-da-da, because they know that there's people sitting in this audience who are a little clumsy and awkward, you know, and I am, so to be able to play that character have my own brown skin, because to be honest, you know, and this may differ from people in here, but when people ask me what I identify first, it's like when I wake up in the morning for anything, I feel like I'm a sentient being. Before even gender or color, right? I'm just saying, when I open my eyes, my brain is working. And so I'm a sentient being first. And then I think I am, I guess, blacker than a woman. Or whatever it is, woman than black. You know what I mean? I don't know the hierarchy, but what I'm saying is when I wake up and my eyes open, the first thing I do, it's not, I'm black, it's, I'm awake. That's what I mean by I'm a sentient being. I'm not denying, you know, I'm just saying, so that's kind of my experience with it all. I'm a sentient being. And then of course, this is a huge part of my blackness is a part of my identity. Which, by the way, people keep asking me if I bleach my skin. Does it look like I fucking bleach my skin? I don't bleach my goddamn skin. I'm a hippie. I'm not gonna bleach my skin. I think I have discovered sunblock as I've gotten older because that helps with wrinkles. But also, I just think it's interesting how we'll all go after each other like that, you know? And I was like, you think I did my whole body? I don't know, like, why would I do that? It's also just ways we kind of tear each other down. Like somebody was talking about their edges. I don't care about your edges! I don't. I know it's important to pop culture and all that. So what I'm saying is, what I decide is my identity with blackness is mine, and I'm fine with that. Because if someone over there and they're all about the edges and this and that, that's okay, that's their identity. But I no longer, as an adult, feel bad that I don't know what edges are. I didn't know what my kitchen was. When I did half and half, I didn't know a lot of the rappers who came through because I had listened to singer-songwriters growing up. I stopped feeling bad about that halfway through and just got to know them. You know, like letting go of some of the guilt of what people have later on me. Anyway, thank you. Thank you. Sorry for the long sweating in. Hello! I did not know there was, I will stop swearing. Hi. Hi.
Okay, so you said that you wanted to act because you like wanted to show the potential of black people, right?
Well, go ahead. What's the rest of your question?
So, are there any other reasons that you wanted to act?
Oh, yeah. First of all, thank you for your question. What's your name?
Isaac?
I wanted to act because as a child, I lived in New York City, and I think I knew as an actor, one of the ways you could be anyone you wanted, right, was to be an actor, because I could play, a pilot, which I'm never going to fly a plane. You know, I could play someone who's going to jump out of a plane, which I have zero desire to do. So to me, it was a way to explore all these other sides. But my stepmother was an actress in New York City, so I grew up a little bit in the back of theaters and being told to be quiet. So I think for me, part of it was, I get to go on stage now and be this character. I also used to read a book a day. So I loved that you could be who you are, but then as an actor, you could also be someone else. And in a book, you could read a book, and you could be anywhere else, and be whoever you wanted to be. So I think I like make-believe. That's what yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think it touches my imagination, and that's why I wanted to be an actor. But thank you! What do you dress?
Oh, thank you. And thank you for being here, and also for the picture yesterday.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming up.
I have a lot of questions, but I'm going to stick to one. And actually, the hair, I didn't realize anything was breaking. I love your curls. Is there anything you do specifically?
Well, I'll say this. The only reason I'm whining about it, and let's face it, it's all ego, right? You know what I mean? That's when I calm myself down at home, and I'm like, Rachel, it's just your ego. Nothing really changed or hurts on your body, so it's just ego. But I think it was that my hair hadn't been that long. You know, I put some energy into growing my hair. But my tip would be, don't just listen to what people say on websites or blanket. You have to try it out. When they say try test strand, you probably should. Because, for example, coconut oil, which was like the panacea for everything a few years ago, that breaks my hair off like nobody's business. And I didn't really, and I knew that because I had my last hair tragedy was 2012, when I put coconut oil in and left it in for a couple days and anyway, so cut to now, I didn't realize that it's in everything now, and I didn't know that it was in a product I used. I braided my hair up. My hair doesn't really my hair's real fine, so it doesn't like braid either. So I braided it up with this coconut product, and I took the braids out. It just glittered like glass. I was like, oh shoot. So, lesson learned, but I would say, it's funny, there's the curly girl method, you have to be all natural. But I actually in LA like silicones, that's the truth, because out there where there's no humidity, you have nothing but humidity here, right? There we have no humidity. So the silicone actually, as a last step leave-in, actually protects my hair from just getting dry. It's so dry in California that the air will suck moisture out of your hair. That's how dry it is, because it's a desert. So I would just say, I really love coconut, I hate coconut oil. Also, somebody said you can use it as lube. You can't, okay? I mean, it felt like someone had a knife. And so, I really like olive oil for hair. I do, I like olive oil and natural oils like that. I think it's really specific. That's why I say don't follow any one thing, because my super fine baby hair will split if I look at it too hard, right? So I definitely have to be super gentle. Your hair looks a little thicker than mine.
Yeah, definitely thicker, but coconut actually doesn't work for me either. It comes out to really weird, so
yeah. Oh, the other thing, I'm such a nerd, but I'll do a deep dive on anything, right? So it's like, what would happen to the hair? So what I do know is there's certain oils, like olive oil, and certain oils, they have, and I may be mispronouncing this, but some oils have oleoleic acid in them, some have linoleic acid in them, okay? They're made up of these two kind of things. Oils with oleoleic acid, a higher profile of that, are more moisturizing. Linoleic acid tends to dry your hair out more. It gives it a little moisture and then it dries it out. That's what a science nerd I am, so I was like, I will figure out what happened and it will never happen again. So coconut, by the way, last I'll leave you with this. It's not like coconut, my hair is protein sensitive. Coconut does not have protein in it, but what coconut oil does is it will bond with spots in your hair that are weak or have protein, and then it snaps there for certain people. That's just the science of it, if you want to know. Because like I said, I'm a Scorpio, I'm like a little detective. I like to figure out what happened, how, and I kind of knew about the coconut oil. I just got lax because my hair was actually looking so amazing that I was like, it's great. I don't have to worry about a thing. And then I got lax with my products, So what I've learned too is like, just use what you know works. I like to say, what did your great grandmother use? I know that sounds crazy because there's so many great new products, but the truth is half the stuff our great grandmas did actually works and is less expensive and is better for us. Like I love a product that is $80 and it has prickly pear oil in it. You know what I did? I went out and bought some prickly pear oil for $15 instead of keeping buying the $80 thing. So that's the kind of stuff I like to do. But I wish I had. Your hair looks great. You give me advice.
I wish I had some. I just try whatever and hope for the best.
Yeah, me too.
Sometimes I find something.
Me too.
Thank you so much. I'm a Scorpio too, so.
Thank you. Me too. Hi.
Hello,
Hi.
my name is True.
True? Your first name or your last name?
My only name.
Your only name. Fair enough, sir.
I produced New Orleans' first ever Black Nerd Festival called Blerdfest.
Oh, I went to New Orleans for the first time last year. It was amazing.
Of course.
Amazing.
I was wondering, since you spoke out on your exclusion from those other cons, has that resulted in you being booked in more cons generally or Black cons specifically?
No. It hasn't helped me in the other con. It helped me with this one. I think that's probably how they even thought to ask me. Because they think they were my great and big con. I think sometimes people don't think to ask. But I would say in the long run, like everything, it's a march forward, right? It probably won't help me. That's the truth.
Would you come to Blerdfest next year?
Huh?
Would you come to Blerdfest next year?
I would. I mean, at conventions like this, they probably wouldn't have me back next year, right? You want to have someone new in, because you guys have seen me already. That's the truth. No, I'm just being fair to them. I'm saying you don't want to have the same person every year, right? But I would come to the one in New Orleans because I haven't done that one. I don't know if it'll help me speaking out, but I will continue to speak out. Because again, it will help someone else. It'll help Isaac. know, or someone else, and it may help me, but who knows? I just feel like I've always been an outspoken person. All I ever heard my whole life was, she's an opinionated little thing when I was a kid, and I kind of shrunk back from that, right? Like once I got an adult, and then you're an actor, and you kind of have to play the game, and now I'm an adult, fuck off. Yeah, I'm an opinionated little thing. And I'm okay with that. But yeah, I'm not trying to do cons all the time, but I do enjoy doing them. It's a great way to connect with people. It's a great way for me to meet people who are keeping the movie alive. Because as I said to everybody who came to the table, you know, they're thanking me, and I'm like, you guys are the reason it's still playing. It's not me. It's the fact that you guys keep watching it every year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hi.
Okay, so I love you in the craft.
Thank you.
Although my favorite role was you in Half and Half.
Thank you very much.
I don't know, but my question is, did you understand the importance of your role in that show? Because you and your half-sister played characters at the time that was really relevant for me, because I grew up in the suburbs,
yeah.
high school in the suburbs, so it was very interesting to see characters who were awkward black or smart black in not only black spaces, but also white spaces. So you really were like my whole high school life of wearing and being very nerdy and not sure where I fit in, and people talking about my boots all the time because
I still wear them.
they were really cute. No one knows.
I'm gonna say it's true. Like once in a while, I'm like, oh yeah, I was one of the original awkward black girls. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know why they leave that out sometimes. I'm like, she was one of the original awkward black girls. So wasn't it? Did I know it was important? No. What I knew is I got a script, and like I said, I'd done mostly film, but I wanted to do TV because it's steady. You know, it's not just 2 months of work. It's steady, and developing a character over a course of time and years was intriguing to me. So I got the script, and I was like, wait. I have a younger, like, half-sister who's light-skinned and gets all, is like getting all the attention. I have a neighbor who lives downstairs, like Chico, who's totally annoying, but like, whatever. And I just had a lot in common with the characters. So normally with acting, I will over-prepare, like I learn it. And with this, it's funny with Half and Half, I went, yeah, it's comedy, I'm gonna keep it light. So it's not that I didn't learn it, but I kind of read it a couple times, and then I was like, yeah, fine. And I went in and read for it, the next day. Because with comedy, you can really kill a joke by over-preparing for it. So anyway, long story short, I read for that probably 5 times too before I actually booked it. And it was originally written for Janine Garofalo, my role, by the way. It was a pilot that sat on the shelf for a while. And they'd written it for Janine Garofalo. She decided not to do it. It was written by white writers, and Bentley Bowser, who had done Living Single, decided to take the project on. And I just it's funny with acting, I kind of knew that was my role. It's sort of like the craft thing. I was like, well, if anyone's going to play an awkward black girl in this town, it's probably me. So that doesn't always mean you get things that you think you're perfect for. But I think it was very serendipitous, and I worked with Essence a couple years earlier on an MTV thing with Monica, so I knew we had good chemistry. So it just, it all worked out, because again, both Essence and I were both older than those characters, right? But it worked that we were. But I remember I tested with someone who was like really the character's age, and I was like, fuck, I'm like her mom. Or her aunt, So the way that the casting worked out worked well for me. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Hi. I know, right?
So short. So my question was actually horror noir related.
Great.
So the documentary. So I know one of the things they discussed is not all representation of black people in horror is positive, and actually a lot of it's negative. Like they have the black monster that preys on white womanhood, or the black guy who's just there to show how badass the monster is when he gets killed. So I'm wondering, what kind of roles would you like to see from black people in horror, or what kind of black horror movies would you personally like to see?
Well, I think it's a great question. Thank you. I think I'm going to strip it away though and say it's less about what I want to see white or black do, right? Because I think what Jordan Peele has done, right, is so great. It's just so great because, and again, I love how succinct he is, right? It's not really about race, the last movie, right? It just happens to be a black family, but I love his little inserts. Like I said to, I went in, they brought me in for a meeting there, which was really, that's what I got out of speaking up, by the way. It was a meeting with them, so it's worth it speaking up for yourself, because you may not get the thing you think you're gonna get, right? But you may get something else by doing that. But what I like that Jordan did was, I want to see us in everything, you know? I want to see us in a subtle horror movie like a Rosemary's Baby. I want to see us in a hardcore slasher film. I want to see us in everything. I want to see people not hampered by what is put on them. Like, if you are Asian and you must be like this, you must play a subservient. F that, right? Or if you are black, I want to see all different kinds. I think I'm interested. Did anyone see Mom? Because I was a little like, how was it? Did you like it? Okay, I'm asking because by the preview I was like, this could go either way. You know what I mean? I was like, because she's ultimately playing, if we're going to go by archetypes, listen, I love her. In the beginning, she's almost, Octavia's almost risen above where they were going to put her, because if this was 10 or 20 years ago, that's the mammy role, right? Yeah. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not saying her, but I'm saying where they put her in. But women like her, or my friend Yvette Nicole Brown, who would normally be shoved in that, are also showing that we can be sexy, we can be interesting, right? Even though you would have made us this character before. Because that was my thing earlier when I said, you know, they wanted me to play grandmas. It's not grandmas that's the problem. It is the desexualized civil servant or the desexualized old lady that they're saying now. And I was like, oh no, I'm feeling a little too cute for all that. Trying to get, you know? So there's this thing where I was like, I'm not ready to suddenly become. In fact, I had a white actress on a show saying, why don't you just get a job as like the secretary on one of the shows? We've got a girl on that. She's black, you know, she's playing the secretary. And I was like, wow, if only you knew how fucked up that just sounded to me, you know? And so I want us to do everything. What would you like? I know don't you do a blog, right?
Yeah, I do
right?
blogs, I do a diversity.
You probably know more than I do about what you'd like to see next in horror. I'd like to see race not be as big a thing and it just be people like it is becoming.
What I would like to see is a queer black character.
Oh, all right. All right. Yeah, no, I mean, what I think is interesting, it'll be interesting to see what they do with this Candyman remake, right? Because that was a seminal movie in the 90s, and it's so problematic, too, a little bit, when we look, so are a lot of things, right? I'm not trying to just pick it, but when you look back, you're like, first of all, why is Candyman attacking his own people? Or was it, why is he over in the white neighborhood? Why is he in the white suburbs? Why is he in Cabrini Green? I don't understand. So it'll be interesting to see what they flip and what they do with that to maybe make the Candyman myth make more sense, you know? Because, I mean, I do remember when I was a kid watching that going, how else is he attacking his own people? If they're not the people who took him down, is it because he loves white ladies so much? No, I mean, I'm not saying I think that now. I'm just saying when I watched it when I was very young, I was like, all right, thank you. So I think that Jordan Peele is doing it, isn't he? Doing the Candyman. So it'll be really interesting to see if some of the rights from, you know, wrongs can be righted. And by the way, not that anyone's asked this, but I'm going to say this about the craft, because remember when the script, my character was originally bulimic. She was white bulimic, right? And I strong-armed my way in there, and then she was black. And she didn't, I thought, this is crazy, because she had a really relevant storyline, racism, right? But bear with me, at the time I remember thinking, well, okay, racism, yeah, of course, that's, you know, of course, that's a given, of course I deal with that. She goes, so what's her real problem? What's her actual problem? She's burned, she's got this, she's got that, yeah, what's her actual problem? Because, yeah, racism, of course, that's what I deal with. We all deal with that. It's not that I didn't think it wasn't a problem, it's just that I don't know how to explain it. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say here? And now, all these years later, I was like, wow, that's a really relevant problem she had. Anyway, is that wrap-up time? All right, I'm so sorry I babbled so long. We have time for one more now.
Unfortunately not. But
Come by my table, if you want to ask. I'm out, I babbled too long. This is because I didn't have any coffee. This is what happens when you don't have coffee.
thank you so much.
Thank